Hello, everyone. It's the 23rd of December, 2020, probably the last ecosystem session being recorded in 2020. And today I'm with Guillem, a long-term Holochain community member and known and loved by everyone in the ecosystem, who's going to talk about and is building open source infrastructure. Hey, Guillem.
Hi, David. Well, very nice to meet you here.
Yeah, very, very nice to meet you here as well. I'm really excited for the conversation today and to see some of the stuff that you're working on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, as just as an introduction, could you tell us a little bit about uh, what you're just a real snippet around what you're building, and also your role within the Holochain ecosystem?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right. Yeah. So, um, first of all, I think I love Holochain, both as a technology and the way it has of changing your perspective. And like it's a transformative technology, not only on the technological side, but on the people that work with it. Like you really have to be transformed in some ways along the way. So I really love that about it. So I started learning more and more about it and started getting in touch with different projects that needed help on the technical side and so on. So I would say my role a little bit is to help support the projects in the community in whatever they need. And for example, a lot of what I've been doing is sync these projects having common needs and saying, hey, there is here a building block that can support these both projects, and then going and building that. And this is a lot of what I talk about when I say open source infrastructure. And this is a big part of what I've been doing past, I don't know, 4 months. Yeah.
Okay, super. Thank you very much. So, tell me a little bit about like what you see in the world that makes that way of thinking that you've just described, that mindset shift into like maybe more agent-centric orientation, but like what you see in the world that has pulled you towards wanting to think like that and wanting to work on these kind of problems, wanting to have your mind shifted in this way.
Interesting question. I guess what I see in the world, I don't like that much, in the sense that in the, oh, are you here? Yeah, sorry. Like we as a human society have structure around different patterns and different mechanisms that essentially favor extraction and maximum efficiency, and not so much love, and not so much coming together as a community, and not so much respecting each other and the and well, all the other living systems, living beings that are with us in the planet. So that I don't like that much. It's been a long time since I've started recognizing these patterns. And for example, we are in the business course, and I was always kind of, okay, I don't want to think about myself as a business, you know, that doesn't really fit what I want to do. And just like 2 years ago, I started, knowing Holochain, but at the same time reading background books that are recommended, for example, and so on, and really shifting a big thing that has been there for me, which is instead of fighting against what you think is wrong now, create a new game and have that game be better so that people can come in. And it just like, I was like, yeah, of course, like this is the way forward, because like it's the way people inventing the wheel, you know. The wheel didn't spread because someone said so, because it was really important and we did a consensus meeting about it. The wheel spread because it was better and worked for everyone. So yeah, this has been a really big shift for me. I'm actually still getting a little pattern in my old ways, in a sense, but it's been lovely, and it's made me realize like it's a perspective in which from which you see blind spots on other perspectives I've had in the past. So yeah, it's been great.
Interesting. Okay, and what can you notice? What pain inside yourself is this serving? Like, how do you feel better about yourself, basically, by taking this approach?
I think I feel better because it's all learning. Because there is really no one way of doing things, because we need diversity much more than having a good mental model or good pattern that we all agree on. So first of all, I can go out and play and experiment and go back to the community and say, hey, I found this. Look, it's really cool. And people may like that, or they may don't like that, right? So it's not like I'm saying to everyone, hey, I think this is right and we should all be doing this. I've felt a little bit like this in the past, and now with this shift, like this is much more aligned with what I feel comfortable with.
Okay. And so tell me a little bit about when you discovered Holochain. What was going on for you at the time? What you were looking for when you discovered Holochain? What that moment was like?
Right. So actually, I was just coming out of a postgraduate course in university in blockchain technologies. I got interested in blockchain because I realized the potential of building new ways of social organization. But I didn't really knew how it worked and so on. So I took a course, and I like at the end of the course, I realized, wait, this is not going to work. And I've just taken a course in something that is cool in theory, but and like it works for what it works, in the sense that blockchains are running and so on. But it's not really like, it has built-in negative feedback loops, in the sense that the more people it uses it, the less efficient it is. So it's like anytime there is a surge, there is the back pressure, like almost instantly. So I was like, yeah, this is interesting, but no, it won't work. And then in the adjacent, I discovered Holochain. And just, I remember seeing this video of 5 minutes by Nicholas Lack explaining how Holochain works and so on. And I was like, yes, this is going to work from the technical point of view. And there is no like I didn't know the technical details, but just from the pattern, I was like, yeah, we need something much more, looking much more like that than blockchain type stuff. So yeah, then I started getting like Adrián Bouman started a Holochain meetup in Barcelona. I got involved. From that, I got invited to go to an event where I met a lot of people. I started a project with one of them. So it's been like exploring adjacent kind of journey, which has been really fun. But sometimes you also don't know what you're going to do. So there's less stability and security. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right. How have you, I'm trying to tie this thread together a little bit, but the way you work now versus the way you worked before, how have you observed the way you work change again as a consequence of these different experiences over the last couple of years?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, in the business course, because this relates to a lot of stuff that we discussed there, I came up with a phrase that described it pretty well. I think the pattern that I had been doing, which is the racing Superman, as in race, race okay, in the sense that. Somehow I had the assumption that the amount of work that you put into something is what will make it work. So you're just going to dial up that work and that effort as much as possible towards that you feel like you have to do, and everything will come from that. And then there was a point in which that didn't work and my body basically crashed for like maybe 5 months after a period of 6-7 years of very intense work in different contexts. From that, I've been shifting. Like I said, I still have some tics from that, but I've been shifting to a more agile thing, maybe, in which it's much more important to know the direction and to keep adjusting the direction than to just put in more effort. Because a lot of the time you don't know all the territory. You have to explore. You need to learn a lot of things along the way and before you actually do something really valuable. And this is more certainly true in software as well. So right now, like, for example, I'll be developing some small module as little as possible and then throwing it out to start a conversation. And if that conversation doesn't happen, then that's okay. And if it does, okay, it's like I've spent as minimum time as possible getting that started. And then it's the conversation that makes the thing reach.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Thank you. I'll jump onto open source infrastructure in a second, but that makes so much sense. And also something I remember seeing in the business course, which now it makes sense for me when you don't like to think about what you're doing as a business. why you look so grumpy all the time in the course. Because you look so happy now.
Yeah. No, but like don't get don't get me wrong. Like I also I was able to learn a lot in the business course. I'm really grateful for it. If I look grumpy, I think it was mostly because I was reflecting on things, not because I was like, I don't like the title of this course, you know.
Oh, it's funny. But what I was one of the things that I noticed in that was the potential in what you were doing for there to be a I think we touched upon it briefly in one of the forums, but it was almost like if you're going to work and go and explore and bring back into the community, if the community rejected what you brought back, then that had the risk of being a real negative. And so what I've just heard you describe is actually like a much more rapid feedback process, which basically takes massive pressure off everybody, because it becomes a true exploration rather than like, even, if it come back quickly and you say, hey, yeah, this works, this doesn't work, then it really is an exploration. Whereas if you take a year to come back, then it doesn't matter what you come back with. It's almost like you have to receive recognition for that effort. And if you don't get that, yes, etc. So that seems really, really healthy and exciting. So cool, thank you. Now, before we go into showing something, I would like to go a quick little bit into open source infrastructure for a second, what it means and why it matters. Because, like, why does open source matter?
Well, it matters really dearly to my heart, in the sense that, like, just my personality, I think I've been always inclined to share what is available for everyone to everyone, because, like, why wouldn't you if you are developing something and software doesn't cost anything to reproduce and so on, and you will benefit from putting it out, others will benefit from receiving it and improving it and building on top of it. Like, especially I think in software, it's the first, I don't know, maybe industry in which actually all the patterns that we are talking about win-win strategies, about positive feedback loops when sharing openly and so on, are beginning to happen just because it's better. And there's still a big issue unresolved in funding open source. And even so, 90, I don't know the percentage, but all software projects have a huge dependency on open source, because it doesn't make sense to do it any other way. And you don't need to keep getting paid for something that you did all your life. Like, you just build something that can be used for whatever reason. And I think that's great. That's one of my favorite ways of saying, hey, this is cool, this works. Here, you have it, you try it, and let's see if it works for everyone as well. I can go into a little bit of Holochain now.
Yeah, sure. Perfect.
Sure. So the thing is, in Holochain, I think that's more true, even more true, because in Holochain, the architecture itself makes it so that reusing not only code, but whole packages is really, really effective. And really fits the architecture itself. So if you're installing a DNA, for example, let's say that I have developed a file storage DNA. and so on. So it makes a lot of sense to be reusing that one bit of code, because I will be spawning DNAs across communities. I will be including that in my family's DNA maybe. And just imagine the possibilities that we would have if, instead of everyone developing by their own, we just develop on the open, and then someone can come and say, okay, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and I like this building, instead of something that I'm presented with when I go to some URL. And this actually relates to the load cost stuff, because it's really, really cool.
Super. Okay, so what I'm hearing is effectively you're drawn to open source because, especially in a software environment with zero reproduction costs, we get way more benefits as a species from sharing what we build, as an individual actually, and a species from sharing what we build, because we basically get more effective patterns in the ecosystem. And then Holochain takes that concept and makes it way more powerful to build into an application.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's not that it makes more powerful to build into an application. It's that the flexibility you get from that is amazing. Like if I imagine in centralized servers, yes, you can build a module that you can share in a centralized server, but it's never going to be as easy as just installing that in your other monolithic building that you have, and just make it go. And in Holochain, it's going to be that easy. Because of the Holochain, the way Holochain, one, is architected, and two, the way that in Holochain you can refer to entities, that makes it very, very easy to say, okay, I'm going to develop a module that can comment on anything. And you can comment on Google Docs, on pull requests, on calendar events, on whatever.
Cool. What have you got to show us today?
Yeah, cool. So, okay, just before diving in, so I've been doing a lot of this, seeing where projects are at, and seeing common needs and so on, and developing the modules ready to cover those needs. So I've had, yeah, let me share my screen. It's going to be best. Okay, so first of all, shout out to all these people. So Hedayat, Sid, Pospitats, also Nastasia, also Jakub, also Thomas Kahl. Open source is not done alone, right? It's done in communities. So shout out to all these people that are building in the background, and not only building, but meeting together and discussing things and trying to make the best of the situation we are in, and yeah, just being very good friends and so on. So I've been developing mainly in this GitHub organization, in which there are multiple modules, I guess you could call it, although the modularity discussion in Holochain with Sid and Pospi takes the word module to mean a little different thing. But here it's just, you have in each of one of these repos, you have a piece of UI, which are the elements that you're going to include in your application, and the 𝐀𝐿 that is related to that UI. Do you want me to say how 𝐀𝐿s would?
Sure.
Okay, so basically 𝐀𝐿s are like modules in a DNA, in a Holochain DNA, and they have encapsulated logic and data types with all the validation and so on. So basically, they are a semi-autonomous module in Holochain, and that makes it really cool, I think, for me to just develop 𝐁𝐿𝐴𝐻s, not develop whole fledged out applications, assuming as little as possible from those applications to have the module be as flexible as possible. And that can present some challenges as well. And there is some stuff to still explore and still see how we finish it. But yeah, that's the main thing. So just so you get an idea, we got a file storage module. We got some membrane roles. So you come into a DNA and you are the administrator and you are the editor or whatever. You have profiles, you have calendar events, and you also have things like social triangulation and so on, although this is not still in RSM. So now, just that we have that pre-thing, I want to show you what I've been working on lately as well, which is a way of taking these different pieces and putting them together. And this, I think, is very interesting here, because not only these modules are going to be able to be used in different projects in which the developer can download the dependency, include it, and let it run, but here it's the end user himself or themselves that is going to choose how to build his own DNA, right? So, okay, let's say that here we have a list of 𝐁𝐿𝐴𝐻s that can be included. Right now, this is the only list, but you can imagine here like how many 𝐁𝐿𝐴𝐻s the developers can publish. You can imagine ratings, you can imagine a lot of things. And actually, this is going to be a lot of warning signs along the way, because all of this is scaffolding after scaffolding and updating to latest RSM. And there is a lot of bumps along the way. But anyway, so what you can do is select what 𝐁𝐿𝐴𝐻s you want to include in your DNA. So let's say that I want some calendar events and I want some mutual credit. Blocky is the one we are going to see just after this. And let's say I want also some profiles, okay? Okay, so this is going to take just a while because it's actually generating the DNA for us. Okay, cool, so I just download it. And this is still a little weird that we have to do this, but just the API of Holochain being what it is right now requires us to do this step. Okay, so now we are installing the DNA. Okay, awesome. So now what we get is like a dynamic UI in which you can drag and drop things inside these different blocks. And you can basically build your own blocky UI, right? So let's say that here I want to have the calendar, and then here I want to be able to create an offer for the mutual credit application. And then here I want to get my pending offers. And then when you hit save, it basically rearranges itself, and it's like you have configured your application. And this can be like, this is a new DNA that you just created. You can share it now, and the other participants can, well, they're going to see this first screen because you already have configured the UI. But if they want, they can just go and edit the UI by themselves for their own purposes, you know? And like you can imagine, maybe I want to have 4 different UIs for this DNA because there are like there is the work perspective, there is the play perspective, there is the whatever, you know, and this is connected to Holochain and already working. So this is like first stage, roughly working. A lot of you cannot do everything. From this, like what I like about this is all the possibilities it gives to people. Imagine the fun we could be having at hackathons, in which instead of I don't know, having some presentation and thinking what it would look like, you just drag and drop zones together and so on. So this is really fun. There is a lot of work to be done still, because for one, there are dependencies between zones. Two, there are some zones that need some properties. So for example, I purposely did not include the membrane roles zone, because this needs who is the admin of the DNA, and this is not yet implemented. There are a lot of complications along the way, but I'm really, really happy that we are finally approaching the moment in which the end user is going to be able to say, yeah, this, boom, go. This has been a very long dream for a long time, maybe 2 years. This relates also with the work I was doing in the underscore protocol and so on. So yeah, this is just really, really cool to like, and this is really a conversation starter. This is nothing set in stone. This is just to share it with people. This is one of these little experiments that, hey, I think it works. Okay, let's share it with the community and get feedback and see if they are excited and so on.
And how's the feedback been so far?
Like yesterday, I finished it, and I was able to show a sneak peek to Eric and Hidayat last Friday, Eric Harris Brown. And Eric was very excited. Hidayat was also. And Eric just reacted immediately to, hey, let me show you what I've been working with as an experiment, side experiment, not in Holochain, like testing and so on, but some other experiment. And I think it's really cool because now that we have Holochain working and working well, we can start to have a lot of fun with these things and mishmashing and combining stuff and experimenting. So yeah, I'm very excited for the midterm future in this sense.
Cool. So in bringing this to life, let's go through it again and let's imagine. So right now I'm a developer. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are two user stories here, developer or end user. What do you want to do?
Perfect. Can you take me through this as each?
Cool. Okay. So what we just saw is the end user story. The developer story is that you have your module, right? So file storage module, I mean IDE. I'm developing a thing with some UI and a zone, right? What you do is basically say, okay, I have this DNA.json definition that is standard for all RSM applications, and I can just declare my zone besides this UI bundle, right? Which is native JavaScript. I don't know how much you want me to go into the technical, but basically you declare your zone along with your UI, right? And then there is, oh, that's a lot of words, sorry. So there is this DNA running which is named Compository, and Compository is a name taken from the Scepter days, from watching Eric and Art talk about how would they compose protocols and so on. And this is basically the same thing, but in holochain terms. So what you do is, in that DNA, it's an open space in which you can publish 𝐫𝐮𝐢, you can publish UIs, you can publish DNAs. So what you do is basically say, okay, publish this package here. You publish it with this command, right? And it's a little long, but don't be afraid. It's like connect to this DNA and read from this file and so on. So now we just published the 𝐫𝐮 and the UI, right? And the journey of the developer ends here. Okay.
Yep.
So because now we have the 𝐫𝐮 and our UI published into the world, and we could take some other steps in the future, but right now, I don't think it's necessary. Like, we don't know how much of that is going to be necessary. So as an end user, now you have you go to the compository DNA and you go, okay, let me see how many 𝐫𝐮s are there for me to explore. Okay, so this developer just uploaded the file storage 𝐫𝐮. Does it have UI? Yes, it has UI. I don't know if it will serve my needs. Okay, let's just try it, right? So let's select file storage and just manually selecting the blocky because it's required, otherwise it doesn't work. And this is one of the warning signs. Yeah, you just pick whatever, and then you generate the DNA. And what this is doing is going to the the compository DHT, fetching the code of those 𝐫𝐮s, compiling it together, and downloading it into your machine. Mm-hmm. So this is actually why it takes so much, because it's actually stitching together 𝐾𝐻 code. So now you download it and you install it. And here, what you are essentially doing is creating a new DNA. Yeah, you're creating a new DNA, especially tailored for you. Like, there is no developer that has said this combination of 𝐫𝐮s is the good one for you. You are just trying out stuff and you're just stitching things together, right? So now you install it, and let's see if Holochain doesn't hang, because it has in the past. Okay, awesome. So now you have entered in this DNA, and in the future, this will look very different, because we are going to have UI hosting on the part of the Holochain binary and so on. And now it's time for me to just build and configure the UI for this new game I've just created, right? So I say, okay, let's do the upload files here, and I've just included one 𝐫𝐮, right? So like, I don't have a lot of options to pick from, but imagine like the possibilities from whatever thousands of 𝐫𝐮s are going to be developed. Yep. And now you just save, and here you can do what this does, which is upload files, right? Yep. So yeah, this is it. And then on top of this, we can build many games as well. Like, okay, let's do configurable UI sharing. So let's upload the configurations of UI that have worked, so that other people can go, okay, I'm going to use this configuration because it has worked for other people. Or maybe I want this configuration here, but I want to still be able to see whatever matters to me up here, you know? Yep. So you can really, like, it's very blocky Lego stuff in which you can basically attach things together. And I know this is still maybe a little abstract for someone that's not a developer. And I'm really enjoying the conversations with Belinda and Stefan around low code to be able to polish for that and to be able to improve the flow and fill the gaps that are needed.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. And if I'm an end user, the beauty of this system is that based on what the developer has made or what the application makes available for me, I can reconfigure how I use and experience my application based on my preferences and choices and still interact with the application and others using the application.
Yeah, not only that, but you can build your own application.
Yep.
So it's not that you can configure only the UI for a given application. You can build your own application, and this is one of the things when I say that low code has been very close to my heart for a long time. I always wanted to go create new community or create new working group. I need some Trello boards, I need some file sharing, I need some chat, I need whatever, and just bundle it together. Because if you think about it, every working group has a combination of tools, but really they are stored in totally different spaces without no connection whatsoever. So you have your WhatsApp group, and then you have your Google Drive shared folder, and then you have your Trello, but they are all disconnected. And yes, you can do integrations, but it's not. And with this, like with Holochain, you totally invert the game. You say, no, the community is first. And then what does that community need? And you can build a mutual credit network in your neighborhood with this, pulling the transactor zone. And maybe you want some events sharing with the community center or whatever, so you can just tailor it to your needs.
It's coming up exactly in our learning community right now. Because as we're transitioning and getting more people to offer more things, then our natural communication channel needs also to have a calendar or a list. But then you, instead of having a space, you then have to introduce a new tool, and then you have to move to that tool or integrate into the existing tool, that tool. So I completely see what you're talking about, because essentially with the integration engines, what you're doing is you're porting information into the existing structure of that application. So if I'm integrating into Slack, I'm in a Slack channel, and like the integrations get data, but they don't really add a rich experience. It's just slightly enhances the application I'm in, right? Whereas here, the application is built almost at the integration level, isn't it? It's as you say, it's inverting the model and saying the application sits as the point of all integrations that are possible for this particular application. And that's what you are demonstrating, rather than like taking and saying you must look at things this way and all integrations magnify this lens.
Yeah. And the fact that you have to go to many different silos to meet and match your data adds first of all adds a huge amount of friction for people, right? Second, you have your data scattered all over the place, and membrane management is not consistent. Like, what happens when a member joins or leaves? Like, you have to go to all of these places because obviously they don't have authentication built in together, right? Stitched together. So like it gets messier and messier. And with this, like, also the beautiful thing with Holochain is that you are just playing with your computer, and like, not everyone in the community has to be tech savvy. Only one person that knows how to arrange zones and build this UI can say, okay, we've got a new application, share it with the others, and the others can just start using it. They don't have to go through all these steps, right? And actually, this is what happens a lot of the time. Like if I think of a school, if I think of the majority of organizations, not everyone is tech savvy. Not everyone knows how to set up, I don't know, an email account or something like that. But you have the IT manager or whatever, who is the one that bridges, right, wherever the gap is needed, and helps, supports the other people in whatever they need. So I think this pattern of one or two, like I'm saying one, but really if it's a tech-savvy community, it could be everybody, of one person going, yeah, we need this, we need this, we need this, let's configure the application and let's just start using it. I think it could be a good one for the future. But as I said, this needs experimentation and testing.
Wow, so cool.
I think so. I've really wanted this or something like this for a long time.
Yeah.
And like this relates to a lot of conversations about neighborhoods, about modularity that we've been having in our community. The only difference here is that we are not combining DNAs, we are combining zones, which is one step below, right? It also relates to stuff that Philip Biddle has been working with. So I look forward to integrating, playing, seeing where the rough edges are, and trying to have fun. Like this for me is really, really, really fun.
Yeah, I can see it's so cool. It makes, it takes the concepts of like composability or interoperability and modularity and then just makes it real.
Yeah, it's like it's a first approximation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so.
Wow. Well, I wasn't expecting this, Guillem. This has been incredible.
I'm glad you like it. And like for this, I've been actually watching a lot of Scepter stuff and videos from the past and so on, because one of the problems I've got in the past when trying to approach this has been one, building too many castles in here, as in, hey, this is going to work like this, and seeing the pattern really clear in my head, but then the users don't get it because they are like, and then also the semantic part is really important. So rather than trying to just have data out there and then reinterpret it, it just from the get-go, you're saying this zone with this UI, which means that there is no possibility of error when I'm downloading the UI for this zone because the developer said so. It's not that I have received some data and try to interpret it with some UI. It's that, no, just from the get-go, the precondition is that this is what I mean with this.
Yeah.
And for example, I've been thinking, and we've been talking with POSPI about doing some resource booking things with REA. So you would have REA and on top some slots and requests for book stuff and so on. And this will need its own UI. Like REA as a grammar cannot offer the UI for time slots and all the requests and so on. So rather than just trying to infer all that from the data structures themselves, you say, no, this is a resource booking zone that, yes, imports REA grammar and uses REA grammar, but is what I meant by REA commitment is a resource booking request. So you are, from the get-go, from the code, adding and setting in stone the meaning, what you meant by this REA commitment. And I may be getting very, very deep into the weeds, but basically it's saying, instead of trying to reinterpret the data to infer, you from the code say, I mean this, I mean a request that has to be interpreted with this UI. And then you can start actually to do very cool things, which are, if you created an application in your community with your own UI and so on, and you want to share some piece of data with someone, right? You can just send it to them and they can go to the compository, download the piece of UI that interprets that data and just see the data without having to install it.
Right.
So yeah, like, and we can build a lot of games on top of this.
Amazing. Yeah, give me 1 second. I've just got my son calling. Hang on a second.
Sure.
One of those classic moments in the house. Apologies for that.
No, it's okay.
Wow. Well, I think unless there's anything else, I think we should leave it there.
I think we are good. Let me say to, like, if anyone watching is getting excited about any of this stuff, just please go into the forum, find other people that are working, like their names are all over the GitHub repositories and so on. So find us. We want to start playing with a lot more people, learning together, playing together, and building stuff, because it's becoming possible to do really, really nice things and really fun things in Holochain. And yeah, we welcome anyone that wants to play with us.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to see more of how this evolves, and also to see, now I can see what, like, I could feel your excitement around low code, but now I can also see, like, with what you're building, that in a few months' time, I mean, we'll be able to be sitting in these sessions and be composing applications as people are talking, you know. It's really, really, really cool. So
yeah, like, and I'm thinking hackathons, I'm thinking meetings, like, I don't know, it's just so flexible. The possibilities are very exciting.
Yeah, well, and thank you so much, Guillem, because again, like one of the reasons I wanted to start these conversations was so that in the future, when people are looking back to sort of get a sense of how was this all building, they would be able to come back and see you talk about this. You know, before you've got some completely slick, composable like app builder that someone or groups have taken what you've done and built on it, and they've come from like their beautiful UI, and it becomes like the Squarespace of Holochain app building or whatever it's going to be. But they come back and actually say that the origins of that were you and others who saw that communities needed different tooling. And then took leaps to get to build that, and then got to understanding Scepter and how that works. And so thank you so much for sharing both the stories that you shared at the start as well as some of what you're building, because I can really see how that came from a vision that you had for how communities can work more effectively. And step by step, you've been bringing that vision into reality, even though the technology hasn't been there for you to be able to do that. So I really appreciate what you've just shared. So what a way to end the year.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity and for being here. Not only today, but around the community with the business course, and just thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please, as Guillem just said, if you get excited about this, and I kind of don't know how it is only one lens, but like I'm very excited about this and what this means for the world of communities, world of application development, and also the world of users taking applications and feeling that they actually own the things that are running on their desktop or on their phone. So if you do want to then help out, please, as Guillem said, join the forum, start communicating with people who are building, involved in building, people who are active on GitHub, and let grow the community here. So thank you, Guillem.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone watching, and thank you for watching the Ecosystem Sessions in 2020. And I mean, this will be published in 2021 sometime, I'm sure. So welcome to the new year. But thank you everyone for watching and for everyone contributing, and for the phenomenal people that have been making who make the Holochain ecosystem, who are the Holochain ecosystem. And it's been an honor to share your work, and what a way to end for me. So thank you, Guillem, and look forward to seeing everyone in the new year.